Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the committee and the Watson family, may I welcome you all to this very special evening in memory of past Captain Jean Watson. Jean was an inspiration over the years to the ladies section at Douglas Park and to ladies county golf. As you know, Jean passed on in June of this year at Grant House in Granton-on-Spey, and it was her wishes that an evening like this would be held in her memory rather than a formal funeral.
Thank you, Jill. To Lady Captain Gill, honorary members, fellow members, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get underway, I would like on your behalf to thank young Finlay for so expertly piping. Could I take this opportunity of thanking the club for allowing this memorial evening to take place. It should be pointed out, though, that this is not the first time we've had an evening such as this. There was one for my late father in 1993, which was a most convivial evening of reminiscences down the years. The person whose life we have come here to celebrate this evening is Susan and my late mother, Jean Kathleen Watson, who died on the 11th of June 2011. She was indeed a fine exponent of the game. Having won the club championship on 6 different occasions, she greatly enjoyed her life and times here over a 40-year period at this fine club. Mum, as many of you will know, was handicapped secretary here for over 25 years, during which time the system was entirely manual, and the only reason for giving up that post, that there was the onward march of computers. And like myself, she felt she didn't fully understand what they were all about. She did, though, realise it would be no match for her manual system and her stumpy pencil, albeit time-consuming in the extreme. She also held down a team position with the Barton and Argyll ladies for 25 years. And although she was perhaps short off the tee, she was a magnificent exponent of the short game. Something that I fear that has not transferred from the genes from generation to generation. Mum was born on the 28th of April 1923 to a family of ship owners in Edinburgh, living the early part of her life in Palmerston Place, Haymarket, near Haymarket. She had 2 elder sisters and a brother, and the girls went to St Leonard's School in St Andrews, where they excelled at lacrosse and hockey. At this stage, no mention of the liking for golf. This was all to change, though, when her family took a house in Lossiemouth for the months of July and August each year, and it was there that Mum learnt to play the game on this magnificent course at Murray. However, before the game could develop fully, she seemed to have a preference for hockey. And being with her father and watching him play rugby at the highest level at Murrayfield. Her father received a B cap for Scotland, and then, after injury, turned his attention to international refereeing, eventually becoming president of the Scottish Rugby Union in 1934. One of her most cherished possessions were the ceremonial linesman's flags that are given each year to the president of that particular time. Towards the end of the Second World War, she joined the Women's Royal Naval Service, or what to many of a certain age here will refer to as the Wrens. And she was posted to Egypt to take up a position in the armaments for the British Navy fleet patrolling the newly completed Suez Canal. It was at this time that she met my father, the late John Watson, who at that time was captain in the infamous 8th Army, commanded by Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, and he was one of the Desert Rats and fought at El Alamein, and something that I think we as a family are immensely proud. He served his country well for a maximum of 5 years in the Western Desert of what we now know to be Egypt and Libya. Mum greatly enjoyed her time in the Middle East. Perhaps anyone would, when the number of Wrens in the militarised zone was 180 compared with 24,000 serving soldiers. Despite an age difference, my father was keen to pursue their romance, and on receiving his demob papers, he then asked the War Office if he could repatriate Mum on compassionate grounds to Edinburgh. This actually happened, and it was duly accomplished, and he jumped down the stairs at Waverley Station, 2 at a time, and proposed on the station platform on Mum's return to Edinburgh. This was a fine, happy marriage, lasting 46 years, during which time both our parents played an enormous amount of golf together. There was, however, as many of you know, a difference, as my father was one of the finest exponents of the thinned wedge, known to others as the rubber eel wedge, absolutely lethal. It has been my displeasure to witness. A great trier, the world loves a trier. So my mother was such a supreme exponent of the short game. They couldn't quite get their act together when it came to pitching, so the scores were widely divergent. In the mid-1960s, they were to take a momentous decision in regard to their lives that was to have little to do, was to take little to do with organised religion per se, despite the fact that they both held down senior positions at Wellington Church on University Avenue here in Glasgow. They decided that they would turn their back on religion and devote their Sundays to the game of golf and their family, and thus began an 11-year membership at Larg's Kelbourne course, where those, again of a certain age, will realise that that was where the then professional of the day, Bert McMillan, went to when he left Douglas Park. This was continued with a 9-year spell at West Kilbride for their Sunday course, and finally an 8-year membership at Buchanan Castle Golf Club, whereby Mum even managed to win the club championship into her 50s. Quite an achievement. It was a joyous relationship, full of good laughs, plenty of golf, 2 children, and a lot more besides. They both, though, decided to leave their bodies to Glasgow University in the furtherance of medical science, and from instructions that there was to be no organised funeral. In fact, my father had a particular aversion to Dalnota Crematorium at Clydebank. He detested the architecture for a start. It happened to be a client of John Watson and Company, which didn't help. And he thought the building was wholly inappropriate. And he always used to go on about the sycophantic nature of the formally attired officials who instructed one to rise from your seat and when to sit down again. He thought he could do that himself. The tortuous lot of the grieving party, shaking hands, was something they did not want of each other. And they didn't want to be part of this, and hence the reason for this evening, when we can salute a most excellent life, full life, well lived, greatly enjoyed, and now in the company of family and friends. When one loses a close relative, or indeed a parent, it's always an unpleasant task tidying up the house and moving matters on. This can be a pretty harrowing experience, which in my case was made all the more bearable when Susan came across a real find in Mum's bookcase. It is The Woman Golfer. I have one copy in here. A Lifetime of Golfing Success by Bill Robertson, MBE. A copy of which I have here, and as I say, and I'm delighted to say, Bill, you're here with us this evening. Thank you very much. Inside the front end paper is an inscription which reads very simply, "To John and Jean, with best wishes, Belle." Thank you very much again, Bill. When you've been Scottish Amateur Champion 7 times, British Amateur Champion, played in numerous Curtis Cups, and be voted Scottish Sportswoman of the Year, and inducted into the Scottish Sports Hall of Fame, you will realise what a golfing legend we have here with us this evening. Welcome, Beryl. And thank you very much for your family friendship over the years and for helping me pen my mother's obituary back in July. I should also point out that this book is one of the most excellent books you could ever read on golf, tips, and lovely pictures of Douglas Park as well in here, so I commend it to you. You've got it, very good. I knew you would have it. Bunny's got a copy. Although Mum was a member of these other clubs, her great love and fondness was for Douglas Park. At this stage, I would like to thank the ladies section very much indeed for two things in particular. The first is always involving Mum in whatever was happening in and around the club, even though perhaps her best playing days were behind her. The second, Jill, is looking after the tickets and the planning for this evening. Thank you very much. I always knew it was going to be a great evening. Could I also at this stage thank Lisa and their excellent staff for all they've laid on and all the programme we've got to enjoy thereafter. Lastly, Mum just liked playing golf with the family and introducing my four sons to the wonders of the great game. Later going out with young Finlay in the buggy and trying to impart some short game wizardry to his golfing arsenal. That's not the football club. Yes, she is sorely missed by Susan, myself, her 6 grandsons, and of course members of Douglas Park, and many more friends, too numerous to mention. Her other great interest was the Western Baths in Cranmer Street, Byers Road, where she can be seen every Saturday morning doing her customary 10 lengths and chilling out with the Daily Express. She had a most wonderful life, a long and fulfilling 88 years, the last 6 months of which were pretty unpleasant, but born with great fortitude. She was fortunate enough to latterly stay at Grant House in Granton Spey, where she was so well looked after, and her end-of-life care was nothing short of magnificent. I think, Lady Captain, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough for me for just now, and I would like you to rise and raise a glass to a very special honorary member of this club,